Hey guys, Harry's here. So welcome back. After our introduction, as I mentioned, we will be covering lots of different topics on how to create an online presence that help you create very succinct message to get your customer to convert. Everyone create a website somehow to bring some kind of result, whether you are trying to build your brand, sell more product, get people to do more reservation. But how do you get this website almost perfect where it can convert for you? There's a lot of different ways. Some of the tips we're going to talk about today has to do with building a website from scratch, but also if you already have an existing website, how you can test that website to ensure you have some of the elements. So the first thing we're gonna go over is the planning of the website. If you're building a brand new website, whether you are new to website building or you have done a few of them, especially if you have done a few, you probably know by now it's not as simple as it may sound, or it is. There's always gonna be people that tell you it's easy, and if you've done it yourself, you've probably seen it whether it's easy or not. If it is not for you, one of the things I would highly recommend that you do is start thinking of some of the key things that your website should include. This does not require any technical expertise. Really, you just need to know your business. If you are a boat rental company, a boat dealership company, a boat charter company, you know what message that will resonate with your audience. Remember, we talk about the 3 M's: the market, who is your target audience; the message, how do we talk to that target audience; and then the media, where is the target audience at and how do we deliver that message to them. If you can think of it this way, your website is a hub where all the information that's coming out, no matter where it's coming from, at the end of it, somehow gonna lead to your website. Let me give you a tip. People don't go on social media website to shop. They go to look at other people's pictures, the funny cat video, and they end up seeing something they like, pick their interest, or something they're already looking for but they did not know of your company or your product, and then boom, now they're aware of you. And the next step on that ladder is to educate them. Once you educate them, now they're aware of your brand, you educate them, and really the next step is starting to kind of enticing them to even become part of your community / a customer eventually. And to do that, your website itself has to be effective enough, right? Because the person that finds you on one social media may not come back to the social media. How do we find out how those people come back? So we're gonna talk about that in detail. So planning on the website is critical. So the next piece on planning your website is the design. You do not have to be a designer to understand the flow of your website. All of us have our own design eyes, right? But what I would suggest that you do, find someone that have worked in your industry, and if they have not worked on your industry before, but at least they have done a lots of different projects and websites to prove to you that they can execute the work that you're asking them to execute. So this is why design is so critical, because that's gonna make a difference in terms of the user flow, where the user click and how they click, and we're gonna talk about those call to action in a second. But design is super critical, and each of the pages making sure everything is uniform. Third part of your website is the call to action, CTA. On the home page of your website, there should at least be 5 different call to actions. And the call to action can be something like call now, reserve now, book now, buy now, learn more. So all of these different buttons are call to action. You're telling the user what they need to do. And the homepage of your website, they usually that's big video or banner. This is a good opportunity to tell the user who you are, what you do, what service you offer, and a button right below that says learn more, reserve now, buy now. For example, your boat rental company, something like rent now, or reserve now, or start your fund weekend now. People will find out more information if they're really looking for more information. But at the end of the day, you have your website to convert, to bring more clients. Let's get them started, right? So that's very, very critical. And every section on your homepage, there should be a clear call to action. Learn more about us, see our culture, see our responsibility, how we take corporate responsibility serious. And then in the footer, a different call to action. Content. Content is so critical. Content can make or break a website. You can have the nicest design website. You probably spent years of planning it, but if the content doesn't resonate, and you remember the 3 M's we talked about, if the audience, the target market, can't understand or the message doesn't resonate with them, then it's all for nothing. So that is why it's so important to ensure that you have good piece of content. And if you're not a good writer, there is no shame in that. Most of us are not. I'm not a good writer, but I can read the content that someone put. I can see from a mile away that that content wouldn't resonate with someone that's looking for X, Y, and Z. Example, for your boat rental company, you wouldn't want to say, come get the captain will bring you, so you wouldn't mention captain a lot of time on your content, because most boat rental company just rent the boat to the user. From the website development, this is where you get very tricky. If you have a company that's building this for you, some companies out there are pretty good at what they do. They know exactly how to set up a website properly to ensure that the website load correctly, the design flow and the information flow correctly. But if that's not the case, then you will have to make sure that all the different elements of your website are in place correctly, from the title tag to meta tags, the specific keywords and description of each of the pages, the schema tag for your website. Make sure those pieces are in place, and the content obviously is in place, and how the content flow, and make sure the website is actually fully tested from a speed perspective, so it's not too heavy. And we're going to talk about that from a hosting perspective. Speaking of hosting, the other thing on your website is hosting. Hosting is one of those things that you get what you pay for, because if your hosting is not good enough, the search engine can almost smell it a mile away. So this is why it's so critical to spend time and spend some money, get good hosting, a reliable hosting that can not only stay up, that have speed. According to Google, customers that spend more than 3 seconds waiting for your web page to your home page to load, they leave. How do you maintain and keep them on track? Well, you optimize your website so that when they get to your website, it doesn't take too long to load. So find a good host that loads very fast for your website. The second thing is, how do you update your website, making sure it's up to date? Well, for your website to be up to date, there's a ton of different things you can do. One, you can obviously having someone dedicated just to maintain it, but make sure you get the right content. But also you can take care of it yourself if you have the time and the resources in place. And there's a ton of different CMS how your website is built. So if you're building your own website, obviously there's WordPress, there's Wix, there is Drupal, there is Squarespace. I mean, you name it, there is such CMS exists. Which one that's better, that's a different video I will be doing. But the point is, make sure you get a CMS that is transferable, easy to use, and when you're ready to grow, that CMS can grow with you. And when you're ready to hand it over to an agency or a freelancer, someone to help you because you're getting big, you cannot maintain this by yourself anymore, this is a CMS that it's not going to be impossible to find someone to maintain it for you, to take it over for you. And have the flexibility, you do not have to rebuild from scratch anymore. A lot of the CMS out there, when you build your website on them, you are stuck. And then when you want to get out, you have to rebuild the website from scratch. That doesn't mean other CMS are not like that, but at least some of them give you the freedom. You can take your website with your CMS and move it to any hosting you want, so that your website is hosting independent. Take a look at the different CMS option you have and determine where your company is going. So for example, if you are a $1 million company today and your dream is to hit $10 million in the next 3 to 4 years, and you see the projection, you know very well to have that growth, there's a ton of things that you're going to have to delegate. Finding people to delegate those things can also be very, very tricky depending on the system that you are using. A good example, if you are using WordPress, there's a lot of design. There is more designer, more developer for WordPress than there is, say, Drupal. But Drupal is also extremely robust CMS that can handle any website. Those are the little things that you might want to think ahead, and if not a big deal. Get things going, get your website present and ready to go. One of the bonus thing I want to mention, how to optimize your website. Optimization on a website can mean different things for different people, but what we really means an optimization for your website is that make sure the content of the website is really easy to read, where at third grade level person can read the information and understand it. It has to make sense, but also make sure the search engines will be okay with the content as well. Google change their algorithms every chance they have, so it's important for you to make sure the content you are writing and how you present the content, it makes sense. The other piece on this is really making sure your website is fast, and this is where hosting comes to place, but also how the website is coded, very important. So this is where development of the website is critical for you and for your team. And make sure your website is responsive. You might heard of that word, responsive or mobile friendly. When someone open your website on their PC, they're able to see everything, or in Mac, they're able to see everything. That's where it's very critical. It's very important. Depending on your market, most users actually access your website via a mobile device. This is why it's so important for your website to be mobile friendly and mobile ready. One of the last tips I want to mention for a website, how to make sure your website is really up to date and ready to go for you, is ADA compliance. ADA compliance has a lot of advantages to it. It gives you a brand new audience that you may not even thought that you have, and it get more people to your website. And actually a website that is fully ADA compliant is actually meets all the basic requirements for a good SEO friendly website. So next time you are looking to drum up more business, ADA compliance might be something you look at. Another advantage for ADA compliance is if you meet ADA compliance for your website, you keep the lawyers out of your back. As you probably heard, there is a lot of demand letter that people, when someone comes to your website, they cannot access it, and because of disability they have, and you have a product or services they want to use, they can't, then they might get a lawyer to sue you. That's a different segment. We can talk about how that works, but at the end of the day, if possible, get your website to be ADA compliant. Now, what do you have to do? What is your homework? Well, there's a few different things that you're gonna do. The first thing, there are 3 different tools I'm gonna mention here, and take a look at on the link below. You can go and get them to test your website. So the first one is Uber Suggest. This is a tool Neil Patel used to manage his website and keywords as well. Put your website in there so you can do a basic audit. The other piece that you want to look at is Bright Local. Bright Local is what can actually give you a basic report to show you how you are doing on local maps, local search result for your website. And the last piece I'm gonna give you is the last link, is this tool to actually give you an overview of your website so that you can see what you need to change, where to make some changes to your website, and how it can make some impressive effect on your website. As always, if you need any help, we're here. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help you. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, and click the notification button so that you don't miss out on the next video. Thanks.